Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive deep into beer.
Always ready for a good beer journey.
Today, we're going to use this really cool guide from Forest Hill Wine and Liquor.
Sounds like a good starting point.
It is. It is. It really breaks down the massive world of beer. So many brands, styles, and flavors.
Yeah.
Right?
It can be a bit overwhelming to know where to start.
Exactly. Exactly. So today, we'll cover the basics, but also get into some more like unique and interesting styles, kind of like hidden gems, you know?
Love a good hidden gem.
Right.
Especially when it comes to beer.
Right. Plus, we'll uncover some like fun facts along the way. Did you know that ale might be older than ancient Egypt?
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, so much to discover. But before we go too far, let's lay down the foundation, shall we?
Absolutely. Got to start with the basics.
Okay, so the beer world, it's basically built on two main categories,
Yeah.
lagers and ales. What makes them so different?
Well, it all comes down to how they're fermented. So lagers, they use this bottom fermenting yeast, and it happens at cooler temperatures. And that gives them that really crisp and clean taste that lagers are known for. Now, ales, they're different. They use top fermenting yeast and warmer temps.
Okay, so that's the main difference, the fermentation process.
Right. And because of that, ales have this wider range of flavors. They're often bolder, fruitier, and more complex.
So it's like comparing a refreshing dip in a cool stream. That's your lager. Versus like exploring a dense forest with all sorts of like crazy flavors and aromas. That's your ale.
That's a great analogy. And I think it's also interesting to think about where these styles come from. Like lagers originated in Germany.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, where they really value that precision and purity when they brew. Think Oktoberfest.
Big beer halls.
Exactly. And then you have a style like pilsner, which comes from the Czech Republic.
Pilsner. Okay, I know that one.
Yeah, it's actually named after the city of Pilsen. It's a great example of how those bottom fermenting yeasts can create such a refined flavor.
So Pilsner's like the elegant lady of the lager family.
I like that.
But what about someone who wants something more like robust, maybe in their lager?
Then we've got Vienna lager. Think of it as a pilsner, but with like this added depth. You get hints of toasted bread, maybe some caramel notes.
Ah, so a little more complex.
Exactly. And that malty depth makes it perfect for food pairing. Think about roasted meats, grilled sausage, even pretzels with mustard.
Nice. Okay, so we've covered lagers from light and crisp to more robust and complex. But now I'm really curious about those bolder, more adventurous ales. Where do we begin with those?
Let's start with a classic, pale ale. It's known for striking this balance between hoppy bitterness and that smooth, malty flavor. It's super versatile when it comes to food pairings, too.
Okay, so pale ale is kind of like the middle ground in the ale family. Not too bitter, not too sweet.
Exactly. Think of it as the brewer showcasing their skill, really getting that balance between the hops and the malt.
So they really got to know what they're doing.
Absolutely. And the flavors you get, they can be super fruity or floral from the hops, then rounded out by those caramel and kind of biscuity notes from the malt.
Now, I've heard a lot of buzz about IPAs, India Pale Ales. Why are they so popular these days?
IPAs. They're kind of like the rock stars of the craft beer world. Bold, assertive, and packed with that hop flavor.
So if pale ale is the balanced meal, then IPA is the dessert.
You got it. All about those intense hop flavors. And fun fact, they have this interesting history.
Okay.
It's believed they were originally brewed with more hops to preserve them on those long voyages from England to India.
Oh, wow. So it was a practical solution back then.
Exactly. And now those hops, they define the style. You can get all sorts of crazy flavors, citrusy, piney, even tropical fruit notes.
Wow. Okay, so now I got to ask, I hear bitter and I get a little scared with beer. Are IPAs really that bitter?
Well, it depends. There's a wide range of IPAs. Yes, they're known for their bitterness.
Yeah.
But it's complex. Think of it like dark chocolate. It's bitter, but it's rich and satisfying too.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
And there are different levels of bitterness, like session IPAs. They're lighter, more approachable. And then you have your double or even triple IPAs. Those are much more intense, like the espresso of beer, you could say.
So there's an IPA for everyone.
Pretty much.
Okay, now I got to ask about the darker beers, the mysterious ones.
You're talking about stouts.
Yes.
They're the kings of richness and complexity, those dark ales.
Okay.
They use roasted malts, which gives them those coffee, chocolate, caramel flavors. Perfect for like a cozy evening or a hearty meal.
Stouts sound like the kind of beer you just want to like sip slowly and savor, right?
Absolutely. That rich, dark color comes from those roasted malts, and that's what creates their really intense flavor.
So what kind of stouts are out there?
Well, you've got your dry Irish stouts. They're known for that dry, roasted bitterness, often with hints of coffee and dark chocolate. And then there's milk stouts. They're a little sweeter, creamier,
Oh, yeah.
because they add lactose, milk, sugar. Sometimes people call them sweet stouts. And then, for the truly adventurous, there's Imperial Stout, which is a much bolder, higher alcohol variation, originally brewed for the Russian imperial court. Can you imagine?
Wow. Okay, so we've explored lagers and ales, the two main branches of the beer family tree, but I have a feeling our beer journey's not over yet.
You're right. There's so much more to explore. There's this whole world of beers beyond just lagers and ales, each with its own story and flavor profile.
Ooh, I'm ready to dive even deeper into this beer wonderland. Lead the way.
Let's go.
Okay, so now we're venturing beyond the familiar territory of lagers and ales. What's next on this beer adventure?
Well, let's talk about something that often throws people off because of how it looks. Wheat beer.
What do you mean how it looks?
It's cloudy.
Cloudy beer. That doesn't sound too appealing.
No, don't let that fool you. The cloudiness is part of what makes wheat beer so unique. It's known for being light and refreshing, and the cloudiness actually comes from using wheat during brewing.
Oh, okay.
It gives the beer a really smooth texture and a slightly sweet flavor.
So cloudy but refreshing. I get behind that.
Right.
What are some of the most popular types of wheat beers?
Two big ones are Hefeweizen and Witbier.
Okay.
Hefeweizen is a German wheat beer that's got these really interesting fruity and spicy flavors.
Like what?
Think banana, clove, even a hint of bubble gum, all those flavors together.
Wow, that's quite a mix. What about wit beer?
Witbier is a Belgian wheat beer, and it leans more towards citrusy flavors. So you get coriander and orange peel, which makes it really zesty and refreshing.
Ooh, that actually sounds perfect for brunch.
It is. Pairs wonderfully with brunch dishes or a light lunch.
Okay, so we've got these light and refreshing wheat beers, but what about those darker, more robust styles? Anything between a wheat beer and a stout?
Absolutely. Let's talk about porter. It's got that dark roasted malt character like a stout, but it's a little lighter and sweeter.
Right.
So you get those chocolate and coffee notes, but also some caramel sweetness.
So porter is like the middle ground between those two worlds.
Yeah, you could say that. It's got the complexity, but in a more approachable way. Fun fact, porters were really popular with the working class in London back in the day.
Interesting. Okay, so earlier we briefly talked about Belgium, but I want to dive a little deeper. What else can you tell us about Belgian beer?
Well, Belgium is kind of like a beer lover's paradise. They have so many different styles and unique brewing techniques. One style that really captures the Belgian spirit is Saison.
Saison. Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard that name, but I don't think I've ever tried it.
It's got a really unique flavor profile. It's a farmhouse ale that was traditionally brewed in the winter to be enjoyed during the summer harvest.
So they brewed it in the winter to drink in the summer.
Exactly. And that's why you get this really interesting blend of earthy, spicy, and refreshing flavors all at once. It's like a taste of hard work and celebration.
Wow, the flavors actually reflect its history.
And Saison has this dry finish, which makes it incredibly refreshing. It quenches your thirst while also waking up your taste buds.
Sounds like Saison's in a category of its own.
It really is. And it's just one example of what Belgian brewers can do. There's a whole category of Belgian-style beers, and they're some of the most diverse and complex in the world.
Whoa, okay, so break it down for me. What are some of the key styles to look out for in that category?
Well, there are Trappist ales, which are brewed by monks in monasteries. Each monastery has its own distinct style. You have saisons, which we just discussed, and then there are Belgian strong ales, which, as the name suggests, are higher in alcohol and have really bold flavors.
So there's a Belgian beer for every occasion.
Pretty much. And they're also great for food pairing. They can stand up to rich, flavorful dishes like grilled meats or mussels, or even a hearty stew.
Wow, so it's like a whole culinary experience.
Exactly. And that's what's so great about the world of beer. There's always something new to discover and enjoy.
I'm feeling a lot more beer savvy now, thanks to you. But before we wrap things up, can we do a little recap for our listeners? What are the main things they should remember as they start exploring?
Sure. So we started with the two main families of beer lagers and ales.
Right. Lagers with their bottom fermenting yeast give you those clean, crisp beers like pilsners and Vienna lagers, perfect for easy drinking and pairing with lighter foods.
And then you have ales made with top fermenting yeast, which give you those bolder, more flavorful styles like pale ales, IPAs, and the rich and decadent stouts.
But then we went even further and discovered the world of wheat beers, with their unique cloudiness and refreshing flavors, like the fruity Hefeweizen and the zesty Witbier.
And let's not forget about porter, that bridge between light and dark beers, with those delicious chocolate and coffee notes.
And of course, we couldn't leave out the fascinating world of Belgian beers with the complex and refreshing saisons, the Trappist ales made by monks, and the bold Belgian strong ales.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? From those classic styles to some of the more adventurous ones.
It really has. So what does all this mean for our listeners who are now ready to embark on their own beer exploration?
Well, they're armed with the knowledge to confidently navigate the world of beer. They can walk into a bar, a brewery, a store, and make informed choices based on what they like.
They know the difference between a lager and an ale. They can tell a pilsner from a pale ale. They even know what makes a wheat beer cloudy.
And most importantly, they have learned that the world of beer is always changing. There are brewers out there constantly experimenting, pushing the boundaries, creating new and exciting styles all the time.
So there's always something new to discover, which is what makes it so exciting. So go out there and explore.
And don't forget about that fantastic guide we mentioned from Forest Hill Wine and Liquor.
Right.
They're located at 1 Newport, Dr. STE, Forest Hill, MD 21050. Their staff can help you navigate their amazing selection and find the perfect beer for you.
Maybe even try a beer style we talked about today and see if it matches up to what we've described. Was that IPA as hoppy as you expected? Was that stout super chocolatey? Let us know.
Cheers to your beer journey.
Happy exploring. Wow, what a journey. Lagers, ales, those crazy Belgian beers. We really covered a lot of ground. So as we wrap up this beer deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listeners really take away from all this?
You know, I think it's important to remember that beer, it's more than just a drink. It's like a window into different cultures, histories, even like human creativity. When you try a new beer style, you're kind of like exploring a different part of the world.
It's true. It's like every beer has this story behind it, and it connects us to like centuries of tradition.
Exactly. And the coolest part is that it's not a static thing, it's constantly evolving.
Right. Brewers are always experimenting and pushing boundaries, coming up with new styles, new flavors.
It's like there's always something new to discover, and that's what makes the world of beer so exciting.
So for anyone listening who's just starting their beer adventure, what advice would you give them?
Just be open to trying new things. Step outside your comfort zone. You might think you're a lager person, but then you try a saison, and you're like, whoa, this is amazing.
I think that's the best advice. Just go for it. You never know what you might fall in love with.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Talk to the people at your local brewery or beer store.
That's one of the things I love about the craft beer community. Everyone's so passionate and always willing to share what they know. It's like they want you to discover your next favorite beer, too.
It's true. And remember, you don't have to become a beer expert overnight. It's a journey. Enjoy each sip, really appreciate those aromas and flavors.
Yeah, savor the experience.
And maybe even share your discoveries with friends.
Exactly. Beer is meant to be enjoyed with others. It's like a shared experience.
So as you continue on your beer journey, just remember that every pint has a story to tell.
And you, my friend, are now equipped to write your own beer story.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. And happy exploring.